your host, and we are here at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, we're saving jobs, we're saving community. Now, if I save us along the way, that's all too. We'll just call it icing on the cake, because the mission at the Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community and put people to work. That's the mission right here at the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood. I'm glad to see you on another Friday. As a matter of fact, this is a Friday like probably none other than we've seen in quite a while. So many things are going on. Things that affect us in ways small and large. And like when you go to marketingpulpit.com, if you are looking for other ways to share the show, and there are all kinds of ways of tuning in. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter, and we're on YouTube, and we are all things Marketing Pulpit. Go ahead and follow us too while you're there. Subscribe to our channel so we can keep you abreast of all these great things that are going on in our community. And if you are a business owner, you definitely want to get hooked up to the Marketing Pulpit TV show, because we are about empowerment. We need to make these businesses in our community successful. So if you're sitting there and you are a business owner and you have not been tuning into this show, my first question is, where the heck have you been? But it's not too late. You have plenty of time. I want you to share this with other people too, because let's not be selfish about this now. I know you want to say, I want to keep all this good information to myself. You want to keep me in your back pocket as your secret weapon. Okay, well, look, okay, for a minute, but we're not a selfish community. We're about sharing. We're about empowering and uplifting and all that good stuff. So thank you again for getting into the Marketing Pulpit TV show. Later in the show, we're going to have a great a special guest coming on, Shaun Smith. We're talking about a fresh start. I'm asking him that question. Is the IRS getting kinder and gentler? They're giving people a chance to get out of some of this debt. So these bad letters you've been getting, or they're going to give you a chance to get away? Well, we're going to find out about that later on in the show. Also, this is All Hallows Eve. Some people may call this Halloween Eve. So I'm going to talk about trick or treat. Now, but check this out, though. I'm going to give it a little twist. Some things that you thought were a trick are actually going to be a treat. See, fooled you there, didn't it? Some things that you thought were a trick are going to turn out to be a treat. So you definitely want to hear that. But you know what? Today I was coming to work today, as I always do. I pulled into the McDonald's drive-thru, and this is not an endorsement of McDonald's. Unless they're listening, they want to throw the brother a couple of coins. Hey, I'll take it. But I pulled into the drive-thru, and I was looking at the window, and I saw something new on the menu. They have apple fritters now. Man, let me tell you something. I used to go to Safeway and get these darn things. I mean, they're about big as your head, right? And I'm saying to myself, you can't eat this big thing in the morning. I mean, come on, folks. You're supposed to be eating like fruit and what's that stuff? Grain. What do you call that stuff? Just make you go to bed. Fiber. Supposed to be eating that kind of stuff in the morning, not a big daggone greasy fritter. So this is what I did. I said, okay, I'm not going to eat the whole thing. So I grabbed it, and so I'm going to put off one little piece just to drink with my coffee. You know, got my coffee, so you got to have something to watch, you know. So I pulled off one little piece. So I'm going down the road, and you know how you do now. Y'all know this. Y'all can relate. So I put it on my seat, and that thing was just calling my name because it was so good. That thing was calling my name all the way up the road. So by the time I got to my office, I hate to say it, but I need to do some push-ups. I need to drink a gallon of water. I need to get myself together because I ate a daggone whole big old apple fritter coming to work. But my point is, now there's always a business story behind everything I tell you. Nothing is wasted here. Folks, you have got to be introducing something new into your business all the time. Think about it for a minute. When was the last time you introduced something new to your audience? No matter how good you are, and this is not just a business relationship. This is on any relationship. No matter how good you are or how much you think people love what you do and how you are, new wins every time. Something new and exciting. Now, I would not have bought that fritter from McDonald's if it were not new. I mean, I go there every week, but I see something new and I tried it. So what I want you to do this morning, Take a look at your business. Sit back, go in the room, close the lights, chant, pray, number your angel, kill, whatever you do, get your mojo on, and think. When was the last time I gave my audience something new, something to get Google-eyed about me again? It's like that relationship you're in. I mean, you come home every day, you got your hair in your rollers, guys, got your sweatpants on, you're sitting around the house all day long. Eventually, your mate's going to start looking at you kind of side-eyed. Man, but you come in there one day with some new perfume on, a new hairdo, man, a new outfit, they're going to stand up and look. Same thing about your customers. You got to put on get a new hairdo or something for your customer yours. And it's not a hairdo, it's about adding something new to the mix. Daggone it. And I'm not going to get a fritter tomorrow because it's not new anymore. But my point, but they had a cinnamon bun too, and they had a muffin. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get back to my topic here. Man, see what these guys did to me this morning? Then they got me all bent out of shape. But you can do the same thing for your clients. And I'm telling you something. When I was riding to work, that's all I could think about. What can I do different when I get to my office today? What can I introduce new and exciting for my clients? You can do the same thing too. Folks, this is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. This is the show for business development. Go to marketingpulpit.com. And I want to thank all my sponsors too. One of our newest sponsors, B&B Cleaning Services. Man, these guys, if you have one of those businesses or homes that's all got all this, people have walked all this stuff through the house, you haven't cleaned it since March because you've been on lockdown. Well, now it's time to break out of that. B&B Cleaning, they come out and they disinfect. And I'm not just talking about cleaning your house. They disinfect your home and business. They do construction cleaning. And for you real estate agent trying to move these houses, you got to send somebody in there to clean it up. So call B&B Cleaning 240-696-7775. And we have some new exciting sponsors also we're going to talk about later in the show. I'm going to also talk about some news items. Before I do that, I'm going to bring in my special guest today. This young man is shaking up out here in the world of taxes. I found out a new tip. Now, I've been around for a minute. I thought I knew all of the positions and job descriptions that there were. I learned something about something called an enrolled agent. And what the heck is that? Well, it sounds impressive, so I'm going to let him tell you what it is. But anyway, I'm going to bring on my special guest for the day, Mr. Shaun Smith. Welcome to the show, Shaun.
Thank you for having me today on Friday.
Thank you, Shaun, for joining me today. Why don't you do a quick introduction, let people know who you are and what the heck well, we're going to get into the details later, but just give us a quick introduction because I want you to join me on some of these news topics we're going to talk about, and I want people to know who's in the room with me today.
Okay, so my name is Shaun Smith. I'm an enrolled agent. I have a master's in taxation. So an enrolled agent is a lot different than the typical CPA or tax preparer. An enrolled agent has unlimited representation for his or her clients. I know some of you probably wonder, what does that mean? So let me give you an example for those that are listening in other areas in the United States. So let's say you're in California, I can represent you before the IRS. Let's say you're in Missouri, I can represent you before the Internal Revenue Service. If you have a problem or if you don't have a problem. So let's talk about your tax preparer. They have unlimited representation. They only could represent the people's return that they prepared. So let's say you come into my office and your preparer jacked it up.
Do this, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shaun. I want you to hold that because I want to get more into detail later on the show. I just want folks right now to know to pick you up.
Okay.
We're gonna get down into the weeds on that in a few minutes because that sounds exciting, man. I want to hear it. I'm all excited to hear about it. So keep your powder dry. We're gonna get back on that in a little bit.
Okay.
But right now, I want you to talk about some of this stuff that's happening in the news. So folks, later on in the show, like I said, coming up in the next segment, we're gonna get more into what an enrolled agent does, and if you're one of those folks that been out here making money hand over fist, I mean, you're like lighting cigars with $1,000 bills. All of a sudden, you get that letter from the IRS. This is the guy to talk to. All right, folks. So we're going to talk about that later on in the show. This is the Martin Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood. I have my special guest here today, and I have put down. I'm not going to eat any more fritters. You ever had a fritter, Shaun?
Not in a while. Normally, I eat a bagel, cream cheese, and some
Shaun
coffee in the morning. That's my
one of these healthy brothers. You can tell Shaun one of these healthy brothers.
Brain food.
Over there drinking water. Brain food. There you go. See, you're drinking this coffee. You look at water. I want to be like you when I grow up. Back then. All right, folks. Well, Shaun, let's talk about a couple of things in the news. I like to read the news because we have to understand what's going on in the marketplace, because sometimes as business owners, we have to pivot, we have to adjust. And right now we're still in the throes of the pandemic. We also have an election coming up on Tuesday. This is the last show we'll have before the election. So the next time you see us on the air, we will be talking about the new president, or I'm going to leave it at that. We'll be talking about the next president of the United States. And so what I just want to let everybody know, please get out and vote. Go out there and vote, 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 vote. My good friend Bradley Thomas, they did the March to the Poll, good trouble, on October 27th. So he and his daughter and rest of the folks in his camp, they were out there using the John Lewis theme, and they had a great voter drive march to the in Washington, D.C. So whatever you're going to do in your community, make sure you get people involved. Let's get out here and vote. And as Bradley told me on the show last week, he said, if you don't vote, you don't count. Don't let me hear you complaining about what's happening if you're not out here voting. You have to go vote. So let's get out here, folks, and we have to do. And because your vote is going to affect. Really, it's going to affect you probably for the rest of your life. This coming election can have that type of impact. And matter of fact, I see my good friend Bradley Thomas online right now. He's saying corn fritters. So he's a friend. He's a fritter guy. Don't pick up my bad habits, ladies and gentlemen. If you're drinking water and eating healthy food like Shaun, do like him and not like me. All right, folks. Welcome to the show. Now, big techs. This is something else, Shaun. The big techs, they had a quarter. Their last quarter was tough. It was a tough quarter, but the big techs, like most people in the technology industry, are actually weathering this storm much better than some of the other industries. Amazon is having record years. Had a record quarter. Facebook, Apple, Alphabet, all of these companies they had a net profit of $38 billion in the midst of a pandemic. That's something to think about. People out here, Congress goes home, they ram through this Supreme Court justice, and they go home and left the population kind of like to fend for themselves. We're still seeing this wealth gap widening between the haves and the have-nots. These big companies are raking in money hand over fist, and yet we still have this pandemic to deal with. So what I'm asking people to do, and Shaun, you can jump in if you want to comment on this. People need to take a hard look at what these big companies are doing, right? And of course, we don't have the bank. I can't say what Shaun probably has that kind of bank, but I don't have the bank of Amazon. But what we have to do in our own world with our own bank, we have to pivot. That's why on my topic today, I'm going to talk about trick or treat. Let's not be so busy worrying about the trick that we don't see the treat. So we're going to talk about that. So Shaun, what do you think when you look at these kind of numbers? You see Facebook, Amazon, Alphabet, Twitter, all these companies racking in all this money, while the average Joe out here is still, some of them don't know where they're going to get the next check from.
I mean, when you look at companies like Amazon, you know, people sitting home, they working from home. The people at the bottom of where they work getting unemployment, so they're just sitting home and ordering stuff, just ordering. You know, I have a few customers that have like small catering businesses, and they're doing well because depending on what you do, some just sit at home and eat and drink all day long because you can't go anywhere because your life has been disrupted. So
But
I mean, it makes all the sense to me.
wouldn't that make the average business owner to, I mean, this is like seem like 101 kind of stuff, but if we dealing with that reality, shouldn't that make you as a business owner think about that person that's sitting at home? What can you offer that person to make them enjoy that sit at home, to make their life easier? Because business success is about fulfilling needs and wants. It's about solving problems. So
Right.
I'm going to plant this seed in the brain of the business owners out there. Think about your business again. I know I've been saying this now since March, but I'm going to continue to say it because we're still seeing this record business closures. One of my best clients who's been around me about 10, 12 years, place over in Alexandria, Nick's nightclub. They were like an institution. They were like a landmark. They were right over there near the mall, and they did country western bands. And I had a long talk with the owner yesterday. I was surprised of his political affiliation. You would think that country western, you kind of think certain things. I was very surprised when he told me who he was voting for in the election. I didn't ask him; he kind of volunteered. But you can't judge people. Man, there's so many lessons on this show. You cannot judge people.
Right.
But anyway, make a long story short, he has had to close his doors. Man, let me tell you something. This guy had that club has been there forever. And he called me and said, "Look, Robert, I want you to put the sign up on my website that due to COVID, we have to close things down." So, folks, it's real. Once again, I'm not saying that I could have saved Nick's nightclub, but before we throw in the towel, let's look at what we can do differently. And I would take that call from anybody in my listening audience. If you want to bounce your ideas off me, if you want to ask me what can we do to make things right, how can we pivot, then I'm willing to take that call. My company is Gatewood Marketing. So go to gatewoodmarketing.com and set yourself up a free consultation. Now, Exxon is also cutting 1,900 jobs. And I'm not a doom and gloomer today, folks. I'm just saying that if you thought this was over, you hear some of the politicians talk like things are about to round the curve and things are going to be over in a day or two. We still have to hunker down and make sure we're making smart decisions as far as our businesses are concerned. Exxon cutting 1,900 jobs. You know why? Because people aren't driving as much.
Exactly.
People aren't driving as much. Shaun, do you remember when you used to go to work that was like a rush hour? I haven't seen a rush hour in 5 months.
Probably longer than that.
Yeah. So you jump in the car now, you go straight to work. But think about also down the line. You have to think about supply chain. You can't just look at what you're selling. You have to look at how this pandemic is affecting people down your supply chain. Okay. So if one of your clients are the oil industry, you might be doing fine. But if your biggest client is the oil industry, it's going to affect the supply chain, and it's going to ultimately affect you. Right. So we can't have this tunnel vision that we don't see what's going on all around us, and that's why we bring you the news every Friday as well. Dunkin' Donuts is shutting stores. God, man, I'm looking for the silver lining here, ladies and gentlemen. Where's that silver lining here? I'm getting all this bad news this morning. That's why I'm going to talk about trick or treat in a minute. And Shaun, you were telling me about a story this morning. What was that you were telling me about?
So, Applebee's and IHOP are closing over 100 stores. I went to the mall last week. IHOP. So just think about that. IHOP, a small restaurant, inexpensive, and they're, shutting all of these doors. I was in the mall last week. Yeah, I was in the mall last week in outside of Baltimore, and I said, let me go get a cup of coffee. You know, no corn fritter, just a cup of coffee, right? So no corn fritter. So I tried to go to Starbucks and they were closed, and I was like, wow, Starbucks is closed in the mall. Then I looked around, I saw Burger King was closed in the mall. So then when you start seeing these large franchises closing, the ones with all of the money, you know, on the balance sheet, just sitting on cash, and they're closing stores, what should the small business person think about? Because like it always trickles down. Every time. It never trickles up. It always trickles down.
That's right. You're exactly right. So when you like I say when you see these companies, these big companies closing, I had a consultation with somebody the other day, and one of the things I told them, and I'm going to throw this out here to you, take a harder look at niche marketing. Mm-hmm. Now, what niche marketing simply means is that you have to look at what's not attractive to the big companies. Now, to them, it may be, they might say, look, we're only making $2 million a year on this little market. We're a multi-billion-dollar company, so it's not worth the resources to go after that market. Well, that may be $2 million to a small business owner. I mean, that's quite a bit of change. So you have to kind of sharpen your pencil and go back and revisit your audience, your target audience. Or have you niched your audience enough? Now, that doesn't mean you can't sell to everybody, but that's the argument I have with a lot of my clients and potential clients. They say, no, man, I want to sell to everybody. The problem is you can't market to everybody. You don't have enough money, resources, or time to market to everybody. Therefore, you can't serve everybody. You need to serve the people that you have the ability, the resources, and the means to attract and to market. That's the argument for that person who's saying, I want to serve everybody. So you have to go back and reevaluate your audience and come up with a better niche strategy. And good morning to Mr. Brown, somebody who's no stranger to business and success, and he's doing fine over there. He's one of the greatest plumbers in the Washington, D.C. area. And thank you again. He says, good morning, Shaun. That's Mr. Gerald Brown of Eternity Plumbing. Great guy, regular listener to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. We're going to do is come back. We're going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I'm going to get more into what Shaun is talking about, that the IRS has this new program. And we're going to talk about that. So if you're one of those folks out there, and I hate to say it, folks, and Lord forgive me for saying it, but our folks sometimes, man, we don't take care of our paperwork like we should. Come on, folks. Let's be real now. And I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this. The brothers are the worst.
I agree.
I mean, the sisters, man. I've been saying this for a long time. If you want to get your paperwork right, if you want to get go out and get the grants and get the government contracts and the stuff like that, you better have a sister on your team. And if you want to get those taxes right, you better have a sister or some woman on your payroll to help you do it. So, brothers, I'm telling you. Now, I'm not saying that the brothers are bad, but that might mean that the brothers are more into the vision. They're into the big picture, and they're not down in the trenches doing the dotting the I's and the cross the T's. Well, unfortunately, IRS doesn't want to hear that. If you mess around and let those taxes pile up, they don't want to hear that vision talk. They want to say, you got to pay me. You got to pay me. So hang on, folks. We're going to take a quick break in a minute, and we're going to do a little deep dive into this. Just talk about if you are this new program that the IRS has called the Fresh Start Program, and we're also going to talk a little bit more about trick or treat and some of the things that should scare you on this eve of Halloween. Marketing Pulpit, don't go anywhere. We'll be right.
Rayford Lee Brown Sr. I am the owner and founder of B&B Cleaning Services, LLC. We are a janitorial, floor cleaning, and property maintenance business.
Man, that's some good music. That 98.6 band, that's a great band, great music, and they're glad to have them as a sponsor of the show. Go to np6.band, find out more about their story, and to get that amazing music. Bradley Thomas, Willie Jolly, Mr. Arnett, Mr. Kenny Jones and company, and quite a few other brothers. Check them out. Bring my special guest back on, Mr. Shaun Smith. He's with Taxes and All, an enrolled agent. You tell us more about what the heck that is. You're listening to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host of your business development show, and we join you every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bring you the marketing gospel. I think it's more important than ever now that we start getting information, tuning in to organizations, shows, podcasts, video shows, whatever that can help us navigate these pandemic waters. And that's why I bring in people like my special guest. And later in the show, I'm going to talk about trick or treat. But before I get to that, before I get to Shaun, think about this. Here's a little, if you are there, if you're worried about, I'm going to give you the sad news first. These are some things that should scare you if they haven't already. Let's just say your biggest client just went out of business. On this Halloween Eve, there are some things that should scare you. Now, what that means, however, you should not put all of your eggs in one basket. Marinate on that for a minute. Now, to you folks out there in the web world, this is something that should scare you. I hope it hasn't happened to you. You let your domain expire, and then some porn company end up getting it. And it sound like a far-fetched story. It has happened. Folks, contact your internet company today if you haven't already. Make sure you have an active email address on file and that is registered under your name. Because when they send out that registration notice to say, look, your domain is about to expire, and if it goes to that old Prodigy or Arrow's email account you had when you were back in paid school, and that email account is no longer active, and the phone number you had on file is no longer in use, and they try to contact you, guess what's going to happen? That domain name is going to expire, and there is a domain broker that has probably a back order on it, and many times those brokers are in the porn industry. And they love a good high traffic domain. And now your reputation now goes up in smoke because you didn't pay for something that cost $10. That should scare the heck out of you. I'm going to give you guys nightmares tonight because I want you guys to pay attention. What about you said, this is something that should scare you. You said life is good. I done beat all my competitors. I got the best price, got the best location. All of a sudden, a big Walmart, they start laying up a big Walmart across the street. And you say, well, heck, that's not my competitor. Huh? Walmart's everybody's competitor.
Mm-hmm.
These guys sell everything. Right. And if they're not affecting you directly, they will affect you indirectly. That's something to keep you awake at night. Now, here's one that that Shaun can probably relate to. You got that registered mail that comes in. I hate to say it, but black folks are scared to death of anything registered. Now, this is I'll tell you the downside of that. And this tells you what sometimes the culture differences between us and other communities. Because generally, when we get a piece of registered mail, it's usually something bad. It's the IRS, somebody's gonna sue you.
And lean, you owe somebody.
It's rarely good. I know I'm laughing about this, but this is serious. When we get registered mail, it's not usually good news. But let me tell you something else. In some communities, registered mail is actually something good. That means somebody sent them a piece of mail that was so important and was so life-changing, they registered it. It was good news. My goal to you is to say, let's clean up our stuff. Let's make sure that we don't have stuff out here hanging over our heads, scared to go to the mailbox because we got a registered piece of mail. When you see that registered piece of mail, I want you to be turning the cartwheel. Say, man, here's that big check I've been waiting on. Here's that big that piece of property I was waiting on. Here's something good that's happened to me. We got to, folks, it starts with changing the mindset. Once you change the mindset, the action will follow. But anyway, I just got to throw that in there. But I'm gonna wrap it up today, folks, by talking about some good news, some trick or treat. What you thought was a trick is actually going to be a treat. And I'm going to say hello, Miss Platinum. Hey, Platinum, the comedian, man. Come on and tell us a joke, Marilyn. She's glad to get on the show and glad to see you. That's Platinum, the comedian, Marilyn Franklin. Go to her website, Platinum. Matter of fact, put your web address on the timeline there, Platinum. I can't think of it this morning. I want to send folks to your website because she's a comedian, man. So y'all might need somebody to help get us through this pandemic. You might need a good laugh every now and then, but she's a really funny lady.
To keep them crying.
And Brad has said that's why you need Gatewood marketing to stay on top of your domain ownership and keep you out of the porn business. That's true, Bradley. That's true. I wasn't trying to be self-serving, but you may need somebody because GoDaddy is not going to call you. I mean, they're going to try. But if I know you personally, I mean, I'll drive to your house before I let that domain go if I know that's going to put you out of business. So, and I'm not going to, because GoDaddy does try. Most of these companies will try. They'll email you, they'll call you. But because I know my clients, and if I see your domain name about to go under, and I know that you plan to stay in business, I am not going to let that domain. I hate to say this, Shaun. I probably have right now about 20 domains I'm actually paying for because I know the person did not want that domain to go down.
Wow.
Because I see them. So I eventually have to run them down and say, look, do you know your domain expired? Oh, yeah, man. What I meant to do was, come on, folks, we can do better than this.
Right. See what happened was.
Anyway, Platinum for Last. That's Marilyn's platinumforlast.com. She got her website and hire this sister to get you some of that good old get you some laughs. And while I'm sitting here talking there's so many stories, folks. While I'm sitting here fat mouthing, that my cell phone is ringing right now from somebody who I sent a web proposal to probably about 3 or 4 months ago. I've been saying this, and Shaun and I talked about it the other day, the importance of following up and keeping that person, find some way to stay in touch. I know this person. I know why this person is calling me because I sent out a newsletter, I sent out a thank you, I sent out a how you doing, I know it's your birthday. I'm doing that to keep people, not because I'm trying to put a hard sell on you, but if you stay in front of people, they will eventually remember you when that need comes up again. So anyway, just so happened that call was coming in. So when I go off the air, folks, just know I'm going to have my ordering pen out. I'm going to go ahead and sign this guy up, and he's going to be my next client going into November. Lesson behind that, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do, I keep a little pile on next to my desk when somebody calls in interested in my service. And I could write a hard copy note because I have the CRM system. Yeah, I have the follow up. I have the email follow up and all that stuff, the Zohos and all those. But I'm an old school kind of guy. At the same time, I'm a tech person. And so I keep a little, in my desk drawer, a hard copy note. And every now and then, almost like the luck of the draw, I would just pull one out and just send them a note. How's it going? How you doing in this pandemic? You will be amazed at the effectiveness of that. That person, you know what? I meant to call you. 50% of the people I do that to, their response is, I meant to call you. I got busy, having trouble on the job, had a baby, had to bury somebody, whatever happened, they got distracted. That did not mean that they didn't want your service. You say, Shaun?
That's true. That's very true.
Because you're a big follow-up guy. That's the thing I like about you. Shaun will stay on top of folks that reach out to him.
Yeah, you got to talk to him a couple times. Might be 10 times, but hey. That's what it is. Times. Yes, sir. And Platinum, it's a blessing to help others. Thank you, Platinum. Thank you, Platinum. All right, let me get back to my topic here, folks. I'm going all over the place, but I'm having so much fun here. Shaun, let's get back to you. Okay.
My special guest, Shaun Smith, he's an enrolled agent, and I get these. I hear these radio shows. I hear these ads. As a matter of fact, I saw your ad the other day on the Joe Madison show, taxes and all. I said, Shaun, I'm going big time. But what these companies are saying is that if you owe $10,000 or more, Shaun, let me just jump right in. How the heck can somebody end up on $20,000-$30,000 to the IRS? How did that happen? How did that happen? I'm curious.
You want the honest answer? You want the real answer? I mean, it's a lot of different ways people can owe. A lot of you got two. I'm gonna just give y'all two ways. So you got let's say you got W-2 employees and maybe they have a bonus or something like that coming, so they play around with the exemptions. You hear this term, I need all of my money. But what they don't realize is it's not your money. You pay a percentage of taxes based on how much income that you have. But saying that to our people is like speaking a foreign language. No disrespect to the foreigners that's listening to the show. And then on the other hand, you have business owners that they do well, they do okay, but our folks, they think that, oh, I made $500,000. I don't have to pay any taxes on it. I don't have to send in any payments. It's just I'm making money, but it doesn't work like that. I see that more so than none. And they come in the office and they have these big problems, and then they think I'm a magician, but I'm not. The firm tries to help as much as we can, but some stuff you just can't fix. And like my mentor always told me, he said, hey, everybody has to do their part. If you do your part, taxes and all to do their part too. So, and that's what I tell the client.
Tell us about taxes all. What kind of service does tax and all provide? Tell us about your company and reintroduce yourself to the audience in case people weren't here when you first came on.
Well, prior to the pandemic, taxes and all was doing, tax prep, small bookkeeping, small advisory services. Then pandemic comes. Now it's, it became more business advisory and tax resolution. IRS came back to work. Now everybody is getting a letter in the mail. You owe $30,000. You owe $50,000. I had a customer that came in there Tuesday. They owed $85,000. They coming.
That broke my camera almost.
Yeah, they coming in. They coming in every week with these problems, and then you talk to them and you say, "What happened? Oh man, I needed some money for the house. This house I wanted to get, so I didn't send in estimated taxes, or I wanted to buy this new car. I worked hard. I feel like I deserve that. I'm not sending in estimated taxes." And then you just listen to them and they think, oh, you believe that? You think that's going to work? I mean, it doesn't work like that, man. You got to pay. You just got to pay.
How does the average person that let's say who owes the IRS $20,000-$30,000, how are they usually informed of their liability? Do the IRS come knock on your door? Do they come just grab your stuff? Do they send you a letter? Do they tweet? I mean, how does somebody find out that they owe the IRS $30,000?
Man, it's funny you say that. I seen different cases. I seen people's accounts get levied. They ignore the letters from the IRS, and then they go to the store and try to make a purchase, and the card gets declined and they find out that their accounts have been wiped out. You know,
What?
yeah, situations like that. They get letters from the Internal Revenue. If you don't pay by this certain date or respond to us, you know, you are agreeing to the terms of the Internal Revenue Service. So you can't be like Sanford and Son. You know, he used to get bills in the mail and he'll put it back in the mailbox. You can't do that. That doesn't work.
It only works on Sanford and Son.
Yeah, only on
Didn't work for
Sanford.
friends.
Right. Yeah.
That's so funny though. That is a friend was notorious.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. I've seen this acronym OIC. What is an OIC? Break that down for people. What is an OIC, and how does that affect somebody who's behind in their taxes?
So OIC stands for Offer in Compromise, and that's when the IRS settles for less than the debt of the amount that's owed. So let's say you owe $25,000, they might settle for $8,000 depending on the circumstances. But they look at all of your finances, you know, to a T. So let's say you should be on a payment plan with the Internal Revenue Service, and you say, I can't pay them. But then I go through your bank statements and I see you down at the MGM every Friday, you know, spending $1,500. So of course you're not going to qualify. So, you know, those are some of the things that I tell the customers when they walk in the office, because the IRS is going to shoot it back every time. So don't do that.
You can't fool the IRS, in other words. And they can't fool you either, because you're looking at that information before you accept their case, I guess, to try to get that offering compromise. You have to look at their, I guess, finances.
Exactly. And going back to your point that you made earlier about, you know, some of the big businesses, if you listen to the rhetoric from a lot of these politicians on both sides, they never talk about big businesses paying more taxes. They always talk about tax cuts. But then when you look at the individual, they are always attacked. And now looking at what's going on now, you know, with the CARES Act, when they gave out all of that money, of course everybody knows they're going to have to recoup that money, you know. And then once you look back, if you look back in history for the individual, right, taxes never went down, not one time. It always went up.
Okay.
You know, and now now you're hearing this 62% tax plan from Joe Biden, you know, but which will affect people over 400,000. I don't know how many people you have in that customer base. I don't have a lot, you know, doing those type of numbers. You know, they're under 400. Yeah, you know, after expenses and all of that, they're not at 400. But that, you know, he's kind of he's preaching that now. I don't know how far it's going to go, but I do know this: going to these various conferences, you know, you hear the rhetoric of, yeah, you guys, clients are going to see more action from the IRS. And then the pandemic came and everything stopped. So then once they start phasing everything back in, I got a letter from IRS. Hey, man, I heard about you. Can your office fix my problem? So now I'm getting a whole lot of that. This coming in office. So and then
you're actually one of those. You're actually one of those companies that have been positively affected by the pandemic. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything to be proud of, but it has changed your business from, like I say, focusing on tax preparation to working on tax resolution, and a lot of it has been due to the pandemic. Would you say?
Yes. Oh yeah. They said it's going to be a lot more action from the IRS due to the pandemic because they don't have any money. And the service has to collect dollars. If they go into your bank account, you know, they could take the equity from your house. It's so many different ways that they can come after you. So, like you said earlier, you got to, you know, get your house in order, or be organized, and then you won't be falling into that category.
Because I've heard this before, and I've been reading, but like you said, the IRS and the Small Business Administration, federal government in general, they've given out a lot of money. They've given out the PPP, the EIDLs, the grant money. They're going to have to get that money back from somebody.
Yeah,
and from my understanding,
small people. The small.
And I've also heard it now. I've also heard now they got this. They have a what do you call it? An instant email they sent out now for people they're about to go after. When in the old days it would be a bigger. What do you call it? An instant warning that they're going to audit you. I mean, what? Am I jumping the gun here?
They normally send. The IRS normally doesn't send emails most of the time. They do more certified letters. You know, most of the time, unless it's some type of audit and you're dealing with a agent from over there. You know, you two might trade emails, but normally they send certified letters out to the residents or the business.
Now let me ask you this: if somebody get that letter, that dreaded letter, the IRS saying, "Look, you owe $10,000, $15,000," what should they do?
Call 301-750-2677. Make an appointment. Come in the office. Yeah, you can't sit back and wait. You know, you gotta respond in a timely manner. Because if you respond in a timely manner, it's room for negotiation. So I tell my clients and customers, as soon as you get the letter, call me. Send it to the office, fax it, email it, get it over. You know, somebody will review it, and then we can start trying to find the best solution that we can as quickly as we can.
Well, tell me quickly about the Fresh Start program the IRS has.
So the Fresh Start program is when, you know, a person owes the IRS. They do a full disclosure of everything, you know, all of the cash you got in the bank, all of your cars, all of your rental properties, all of your collectibles, all of your assets. And then we submit it. You know, we look at your monthly income, your monthly expenses, and then depending on how much it is, you know, sometimes you qualify for an offer in compromise. Sometimes you might qualify for an installment agreement, or sometimes you might be currently non-collectible, where they don't collect any money, but the interest continues to accrue, as you probably know.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes a person might just have to file bankruptcy, you know, if they got, you know, old taxes. But
so those,
you know, it just depends on the situation. It's not cookie cutter, you know.
Right.
It's not cookie cutter. You know.
So in other words, go ahead. So in other words, they need to talk to somebody like you. In other words, before they start making decisions.
Yeah, you got to talk to an enrolled agent, a CPA, or an attorney that does tax resolution. You know, you can't talk to Ricky from around the corner about your $50,000 tax debt. You need a qualified professional, and there are many qualified professionals here in the DC area. You know, we're one of the firms. Feel free to call us, and you know we'll try to help what we can.
All right, folks. That's Shaun Smith from Taxes and All. They are a tax resolution specialist, and they help companies on people who owe $10,000 or more to the IRS. And the IRS does have this new program I don't know if it's new or not, but it's called the Fresh Start Program, where you can actually get up to 85% of your tax liability dismissed. So that's something you need to find out about. Call if you got that letter. And like I said, this is one of those things that can scare the bejeebus out of you on this Halloween Eve. But if that person is you, and don't be shamed. I mean, it happens. I mean, sometimes you get a little money start coming in. You're so busy making money, you didn't have time to count it. You went out and got that car when you probably should have paid your taxes. Look, everything can be fixed. You should do it now while the IRS has this Fresh Start program, and it's made for people like you. So call them at 301-750-2677. And we got one person saying, do you do other cities? Can you do outside the DC area? We have a question from one of our clients on the listening. Do you do outside the DC area?
I got clients in California, Seattle, Washington. Like I said before, it's unlimited representation. With an enrolled agent, we do all 50 states. So you might get up and move to Idaho. Yeah, the answer is yes. We take care of you. we cover all.
So one of our good listeners, Brenda says, do you do other cities? So the answer to that is yes. And thank you for tuning in, Brenda Lead the Model. All right, folks, if you have any other questions, by all means, feel free to chime in. Go into the Facebook log. And to everybody who's listening on some of the other platforms, we're not ignoring you. We have the show is broadcast on the Marketing Pulpit platform, but we also streaming it on Gatewood Marketing, Brothers for Real, and a few other platforms. If you want to join the stream of questions that we can actually read on the air, go to marketingpulpit.com, and then we can actually see your comments, because I notice after the show sometimes people are leaving comments on the secondary streams like Brothers for Real, the Gatewood Brothers, the Gatewood Marketing, and some of the other platforms where we actually stream live. We're not ignoring you, but if you want to get into the conversation, come to the stream on marketingpulpit.com. And just like with Brenda and Marilyn and Brother Brown and Bradley Thomas, the attorney, you can actually join the conversation right here live on the air, and a few others who are tuning in. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about trick or treat before we tune out. You thought it was a trick, but you realized after the fact that it was a treat. You don't want to miss it. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I have my special guest, Mr. Shaun Smith. You can go to marketingpulpit.com. You'll see his information. And he's also, you can go to his website, taxesandall.com. Sharp young brother, glad to have him on today to talk about some of these challenges that face our community. And we're always glad to bring in sharp guests to help tackle these issues as they arrive. Marketing Pulpit, we'll be right back out.
Rayford Lee Brown Sr. I am the owner and founder of B&B Cleaning Services, LLC. We are a janitorial, floor cleaning, and property maintenance business.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to support our sponsors who support this Marketing Pulpit radio show. Now, these are business owners in our community who share our vision of building these successful businesses in our community. They share our vision of putting people to work. They share our vision of supporting small businesses. And that's why I'm so glad to have them as a sponsor. B&B Cleaning Services, they would disinfect your home, your business. You can reach them at 240-696-7775. L. Riggs and Associates, that's Mr. Lenny Riggs and Company. He is hiring. He's looking for agents. He is looking for agents. And he says some of these folks are making up to $500 a day. So you go to lriggsandassociates.com. Our good buddies at BLE Executive Suites, they have their 3 locations in the DC area, one in Largo, Maryland, and National Harbor, and they have a hub zone over in College Park. So if you're looking for somebody to answer those phones, if you're looking for somebody, a place to meet, a safe place to meet, where you can social distance, they got these big old boardrooms, because I meet over there, and I have one person down at one end of the table, I'm at the other. We sanitize the place before the meeting and after it's over, so you can actually still conduct business, and you can do it safely at BLE Executive Suites. 98.6 band, of course, Mr. Bradley Thomas and his group, and then of course our latest sponsor, Kirksey Catering. And if you have an event you're trying to celebrate, birthdays, people are still having weddings, people are still having retirement parties, and you want to have that food brought out in a safe way. They put on the mask, they got the glove, they can bring it out to you. And so Kirksey Catering, we're glad to have them as one of our sponsors as well. Go to marketingpulpit.com and click on the sponsor page, and you can see all of our sponsors who joined us in our mission of building strong businesses in our community and putting people to work. And of course, our special guests, they're always happy to have them, people like Shaun, and last week we had Bradley and a few other people we've been bringing in. We all in this together, trying to build these communities and put people to work. Go to marketingpulpit.com and get that information. You can find out all about our sponsors, and they're lining up, and we're glad to have them, glad to have them, glad to have them. Let's talk about, we're about 1 day from trick or treat. Now, in the old day of Halloween, now we didn't, I think right now the kids aren't going to be doing much trick or treating these days. I mean, if I had a kid, I wouldn't have them out there going to a stranger's house. They might give them a whole bag of COVID. So we want to avoid that. But let's just say you have a business, and you brought that old habit, that whole thought process from your youth. If it was a trick, it uses something bad, and if it's a treat, so you go to somebody's house, you're not sure if you're gonna get a trick or a treat. Now, most people, of course, they wouldn't get a kid anything bad. A few folks would drop raisins and razor blades and candy. That was usually the exception to the rule. But let's just say you had to raise your price because business was so off. You were getting less clients, so you had to raise your price. Man, that's a trick. You had to think about this, raise your prices because you weren't making enough money on the items that you were selling because you had dropped the number of sales, the SKUs were off, so you had to raise your price. In most people's world, that is a trick. But the treat was when you raised that price, suddenly people saw your service a little differently. They saw you as a quality, high-end service, and now you were attractive to an entirely new audience. You went from the trick to the treat. I'll tell you, folks, sometimes you gotta look at that cloud and that silver lining. So the trick was, here's number 2. The trick was you had to close your walk-in service. People are nervous. They don't want to come into an establishment. They don't want to come into your office. So people are saying, look, I'm not going over there. That was a trick. But the treat was you discovered some new distribution channels. You discovered Zoom. You discovered new ways to deliver your services. You discovered all types of ways now that will things that will transcend this pandemic. The trick was you closed your indoor service. The treat was now you discovered these new distribution channels that helps you reach a much wider audience. The trick, the treat. Now, here was another trick. Your products just weren't selling. You've been selling this product since Buck was a calf, since Chet was a puppy. Your dad sold it, your mom sold it, grandpa sold it. It's just not selling now. That's the trick. The treat is you need to start looking at the products that you're selling. Some of these products you're selling, they were on the decline anyway. Every industry goes through every industry and product goes through an industry life cycle. It goes through the introduction, the growth, the maturity, and the decline. Some of those products that you are not selling anymore were already matured. They were going to phase out anyway. This gives you a chance to jump ahead of the curve. So the trick was the products weren't selling. The treat is you need to get rid of them anyway and start looking at the items that are in the growth phase and introduction phase of the cycle. And that's going to be what's going to shepherd your business into the post-pandemic era. The trick, the treat. Here's another one. Your advertising just isn't working. So you're saying to yourself, I've been running this ad, it's just not working. I've been sending out these postcards, they're just not working. I've been going to these meetings, it's just not working. Folks, let me tell you something else. The trick is your advertising isn't working. The treat is you need to start looking at some new advertising channels. When was the last time you boosted a Facebook ad? When was the last time you set up a landing page? When was the last time you created a digital ad? This pandemic, the trick is that you are in the old way of thinking. But now on this trick or treat, the treat is now you're going to come out of this looking for more efficient, more affordable, and more effective ways of advertising. The trick was the ads weren't working. The treat is now you have some new ways. And some of these newer ways are actually better than some of the old things that you were doing. So folks, on this trick or treat eve, on this Halloween eve, yes, don't fall for the thought that everything that's bad is bad. You have to, it might look like a trick, but let me tell you something, folks. I remember when I used to go out trick-or-treating as a kid. Man, sometimes I get home, I look at, you go to that little house that folks didn't quite have they didn't have some of the biggest houses in the area. They look a little run down and they throw something in the bag and you say, oh man, I ain't really want that because that come from that house. Man, you get home, you realize you got the best treat of all. And the same thing can happen in your business. Some of these things that you're looking at as a minus, they could actually end up being a plus. So, Shaun, in your business, are there any tricks and treats in the tax resolution business? I'm gonna sit here and think. Go ahead.
I mean, you said a lot.
Like Shaun.
You know, for everybody, like, is it like, you know, one-on-one? Always, you know, do marketing. Like the big companies, you know, they do it every month. Small companies, they start making money, they stop marketing. And then over time, you know, it goes down. Like I had a call last week from a lady who I dealt with from 2 years ago, and she was in the database, you know, from sending out newsletters. So again, you got to keep hitting them and hitting them and hitting them and hitting them, and eventually they'll call you. You know, grow the day. Right. Like, so one of the things for me from the pandemic was, you know, to grow the database, to hit more people. You know, give them information. You know, maybe inspire them. You know, they might not come in the office tomorrow. That's fine. But if, you know, I might see you down the road, and that's fine too. You know, or you might send your uncle that owes 20,000, and we might could help him out. And you know, and then he sends his coworker, and then I send you a referral fee for doing that, and then you buy your girlfriend some expensive perfume, and everybody happy. You know. So I mean, it's different ways to connect it, but you know, but the pandemic made everybody repivot how they do business. It's no more laying back. It's no more easy anything. You know, you got these companies laying people off. You got, what is it, 60 million unemployed. This is what I want to tell the audience. If you, whatever you good at, you don't even have to be good at it. You can just be okay at it. Turn that into your business. Turn it into your business. Turn it into your business. That is so true. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what you could end up doing instead of being distracted by entertainers. do some research on your business in your local market area. You know, see if you can identify the needs or what people need. And then when you're on Facebook talking about stuff that's irrelevant, put that up there. Hey y'all, I'm selling soul food dinners for Thanksgiving. It's gonna be hot, nice, ready for you in the styrofoam. If you want 10, 20, it doesn't matter. You know, that's just an example.
Right.
Golden Corral closed for those who went there for Thanksgiving, you know. But it's ways for, you know, everybody to make income for themselves. So
you're right.
And now it seems like we're in a society where you either have it or you don't. You know, don't sit at the job complaining why you're not getting promoted, because you're probably not going to get promoted. So think about that thing you're good at and just take an hour every day and just work on it. Just start with 1 hour, and I guarantee your life will change.
Well, it happened for us. That's how we started.
Think about that. Every day, think about, how do I get better?
Yep.
How do I get better? How can I serve my clients better? How can I envision me having a better life? I want to live in a certain type of neighborhood. I want to go on a certain type of vacation. I want to drive a certain type of car. I want my kids to have a certain type of, you know, education. And that's it. And then once you write down those things, I guarantee you, your mind will start wandering. And then the priorities will shift. And that has nothing to do with tax resolution. That's just empowerment for people, you know.
That's right.
It's empowerment.
Well, thank you, Shaun.
Okay.
You are so right. You are so right. And also, when you're thinking about talking about trick or treat, let's say you got that letter from the IRS. That's the trick. But the treat is, now you know about the Fresh Start program. You can go out. That thing been hanging over your head now. You've been losing sleep. You've been going home having arguments with your mate. You're not treating your kids right because that stress and pressure is hanging over your head. What started out as a trick with that letter from the IRS, because you knew it was there, you just hadn't gotten the letter yet. Getting that letter can actually be the trick that's going to turn into a treat, because now you're going to have to deal with it. And we got somebody in Shaun Smith that can help you deal with it and let you go ahead and get that problem taken care of. Call his company. Go to marketingpulpit.com. His information also on the website. Go to taxes and all. And we're going to wrap up our show today. Shaun, I want to thank you. You've been a great. I like you straight. You go straight for the juggler. You don't give it with a chaser. Just tell folks like it is. And that's what we need more of. Somebody give us a straight talk.
straight answer.
And so thanks again. We have to get you back on the show. Folks, that's going to wrap up the Marketing Pulpit show today. We'll be back next Friday at the same time. We come to you every Friday at 10:30 a.m., bring you the good marketing gospel. And thank everybody who's tuning in online. Bradley Thomas, the attorney, Gerald Brown, the great plumber, the comedian, Platinum for Laughs. We see Brandley, the model, and we got a great other people on the other platforms. And we're not ignoring you. We just can't see you unless you're on the Marketing Pulpit stream and the other stream. We'll find a way to get those on the board as well. But in the meantime, if you're on the other streams, just kick over on the next show. Just kick over to the Marketing Pulpit Facebook page, and then you can join the conversation as so many of our other listeners have done today. Folks, that's going to wrap it up. You can find out more about my company by going to gatewoodmarketing.com and set yourself up a free consultation so we can talk about your company and how we can get you on the good foot and get you into a fresh start, and to get you into turn some of those tricks into treats as you get ready to go into November. And also, folks, get out here and vote. Get out here and vote like your life and your business depended on it, because this is going to be a game-changing election, and I want everybody to have a role in it. And like Attorney Bradley Thomas said last week, he said so eloquently and so succinctly, if you don't vote, you don't count. Folks, that's going to wrap it up today. As we always, if you want to be successful, you got to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you got to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. See you next.
Rayford Lee Brown Sr. I am the owner and founder of B&B Cleaning Services, LLC. We are a janitorial floor cleaning and property maintenance business.